This is a long one, so strap up. First, I like November, the month of reflecting to be thankful for both big and small things. Add to the list that CAF is going to start their path towards the 2026 Men's World Cup. CAF has changed their qualifying process as now 9 teams will qualify directly to the World Cup, while a possible 10th team could join if they succeed in the Interconfederation playoffs. And there are 9 groups with 6 teams each, playing each other in a home and away style. All 54 CAF members will be participating in the qualifiers, and only the group winners will qualify directly. The 4 best runner-ups from all the groups will play in a confederation playoff, with the winner moving on to the Interconfederation playoff to try for a spot at the World Cup. Matchday 1 will be between November 15 and November 18, while Matchday 2 will be from November 19 to November 21. Matchday 1 for Group A: Burkina Faso versus Guinea-Bissau, Egypt versus Djibouti, and Ethiopia versus Sierra Leone. Matchday 2 for Group A will be Djibouti versus Guinea-Bissau, Sierra Leone versus Egypt, and Ethiopia versus Burkina Faso. Matchday 1 for Group B is DR Congo versus Mauritania, Senegal versus South Sudan, and Sudan versus Togo. Matchday 2 for this group is South Sudan versus Mauritania, Togo versus Senegal, and Sudan versus DR Congo. Matchday 1 for Group C is South Africa versus Benin, Nigeria versus Lesotho, and Rwanda versus Zimbabwe. Matchday 2 for this group is Lesotho versus Benin, Zimbabwe versus Nigeria, and Rwanda versus South Africa. Matchday 1 for Group D is Cape Verde versus Angola, Cameroon versus Mauritius, and Eswatini versus Libya. Matchday 2 for this group is Mauritius versus Angola, Libya versus Cameroon, and Eswatini versus Cape Verde. Matchday 1 for Group E is Zambia versus Congo, Morocco versus Eritrea, and Niger versus Tanzania. Matchday 2 for this group is Eritrea versus Congo, Tanzania versus Morocco, and Niger versus Zambia.
Hello, yes, just to give a quick update as I was finishing up this video, it appears that Eritrea has withdrawn from competing towards the World Cup, so yeah, Eritrea is no longer participating.
Matchday 1 for Group F is Gabon versus Kenya, Ivory Coast versus Seychelles, and Burundi versus Gambia. Matchday 2 for this group is Seychelles versus Kenya, Gambia versus Ivory Coast, and Burundi versus Gabon. Matchday 1 for Group G is Guinea versus Uganda, Algeria versus Somalia, and Botswana versus Mozambique. Matchday 2 for this group is Somalia versus Uganda, Mozambique versus Algeria, and Botswana versus Guinea. Matchday 1 for Group H is Equatorial Guinea versus Namibia, Tunisia versus Sao Tome and Principe, and Liberia versus Malawi. Matchday 2 for this group is Sao Tome and Principe versus Namibia, Malawi versus Tunisia, and Liberia versus Equatorial Guinea. Finally, Matchday 1 for Group I is Ghana versus Madagascar, Mali versus Chad, and Comoros versus Central African Republic. Matchday 2 for this group is Chad versus Madagascar, Central African Republic versus Mali, and Comoros versus Ghana. 3 out of 6 confederations are now on the road to the 2026 Men's World Cup.